cold chain is all about delivering something which is extraordinarily difficult and has a lot of compliance attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, looking at resilience, it's all about protecting the product integrity and service performance. And at the end of the day, if you look after both the integrity of the product and you look after the performance of your people, processes, and practices, the profitability will look after itself. So even when the operation is under pressure, you look after those particular practices within the operation, and everything should work. In practical terms, it means that the operation delivers the same results, whether it be on a difficult day or whether it be on a good day. And none of those practices should change. They should always remain the same. And if you've got robust practices, then you build a tight network and your people fully understand the role within the operation. Then you've got a resilient stonewall operation. The most common gaps are having really an infrastructure without having the same strength in the operational governance practice. So we have a full infrastructure, but without having the governance practices to back it up. Look at WMS, for instance. To have a WMS that's fully embedded into the daily routine that manages performance depends on individuals. It depends on the individuals using it correctly. And if you've got within ASCO, for instance, we are ISO accredited, and part of our processes and part of the standard that we have are a set of key process data. So SOPs are embedded within that structure. They are used as a training platform. So we've got common training across all of our 5 sites. So we've got structured processes with great visibility, because some of the gaps is that visibility, or one of the main gaps is that visibility from end to end, whether it be upstream or downstream. I think one of the biggest gaps is that visibility. And not having that visibility basically distracts you from operational decision making. It doesn't give you the opportunity to make objective and the right decisions at the right time. So if you look at resilience as an organization, you've got to be process driven. It's got to be data led and people enabled. Because at the end of the day, without people doing the right things at the right time, in the right way and the right manner, then everything else will fail. You can have the best technology in the world, but if the people aren't doing what's expected of them, that is documented, then the data accuracy and having one element of truth within the organization will fail. So it's not technology enabled, it's personality, and making sure that those people are doing the right things. And that's what I see resilience is bolting all that together, your process, procedure, practices, and people. It makes a strong, resilient operation from process, from a product movement perspective, not necessarily a technical perspective.
No, you're 100% spot on this, and this was one of the very reasons that this topic was suggested, and we selected this topic. That whenever we're talking about resilience and when we are talking about creating the right 3PL mix, it cannot happen without the people, which is then backed and supported by the process, and then measurement of that performance and continuous improvement based on that. So that is true, and that is what ideally defines resilience. Getting embedded into the organizational structure. So moving forward to my next question for you is that since we are talking about, and our focus is people and leadership in this session, so cold chain performance is heavily dependent on people and its leadership. If the right leadership is not there, it breaks away completely. So from your perspective, especially you have been in the region for a long time and now you're leading one of the top entities in cold chain logistics, what are the key leadership behaviors and organizational practices that can help build a high-performance team, high-performing teams with accountability and a culture of continuous improvement?
I think looking at I've been fortunate in my time working in the GCC to work with some amazing people and have amazing teams that I work with that have helped support what I'm doing. But cold chain is a people business. Even if you're talking in highly automated environments. I was fortunate to build the very first fully automated warehouse in Saudi for Almarai many years ago. And whilst you've got a fully automated warehouse, it's heavily reliant on the people. And if you're looking at leadership behaviors, again, it's about visibility on the warehouse floor, making sure that you're down there with the people, talking to the main people that manage the operation, and having absolute clarity on accountability, what people are expected to do and what their accountability levels are, and having structured performance routines where we're enabled to have data-driven decision making. Because without data, you can't make those decisions, whether that be the guy at the top or whether it be the supervisor or the team leader. You need to have that visibility. And the real performance engine, if you want to call it that, is a frontline supervisor. Those are the guys that are capable, but they're only capable if they're empowered and measured against KPIs. Because people need to understand and they need to own what's expected of them. So from a KPI, you're looking at service, you're looking at temperature discipline, productivity, and so on. And once you've got those embedded in somebody's empowerment, then improvements will just fall straight after, because they know and they are proud of what they own. So, if you look at really good performance sites, they don't rely on firefighting. They rely on a rhythm. And that rhythm is discipline and continuous improvement. And you can't get that discipline unless you will allow people to do their job. You employ people to do certain things, and you advise them what their role is. You give them a strategic role. You give them set KPIs, and what they will break their back to achieve those, if not improve those KPIs, because you're proud to be able to be given a free rein to run your element of the operation. So I think from leadership behavior is giving people the authority to do their job properly, and managing that, but also praising the people, letting people know how well or how not so well they're doing, and that continuous feedback as well on performance, on their achievements. And we should also celebrate those achievements and not just say well done. It's a case of making sure that they're fully aware that they're not only achieving what is expected of them, but they're going above and beyond. And if you do that, then we talk about culture a lot in our, especially in this part of the world, because we work with so many different nationalities, and you've got to be sympathetic to that. And you look at celebrating good achievements. You look at celebrating achieving certain levels of discipline within your operation. That goes a long way. It goes a long way for internal enthusiasm levels, and it goes a long way that allows the guys to almost a free rein to go to that next level and to improve their operational capabilities.
Very good point. And I will just pick one part of what you just said, which resonated to a very recent example for me. You talked about the frontline supervisors, empowering them and everything. We recently, with one of our clients here in Saudi, we got a very interesting request with regard to trainings, that they wanted to design a leadership course for their frontline supervisors or the floor supervisors.
Yeah.
Right? And the requirement from the HR, from the client came that, Naman, that since you can deliver it in English as well, but since English is not their first language and they are not strong in it, would it be possible if this can be delivered in their own language, which was Hindi? They were primarily Indian.
Yes.
And we took up the challenge to the extent that it was a 5-day workshop on leadership for the workers on the floor.
Yeah.
And the objective was that how to help them understand how a manager thinks and how can they use that same thinking leadership in their daily life so that they can understand what they need to deliver and they can start thinking strategically. So the whole training was developed in Hindi language, even to the slides, the worksheets, the exercises, everything was developed in Hindi for them. And we delivered that. And I remember one comment at the end of the 5-day session when they were giving it to their director was one gentleman said, now we understand what our role is in the company and now we understand what it would take us to be a manager. Right? And hats off to this HR that now they are investing in to that training that they wanted a very high-end leadership training for their supervisor level people, supervisor and floor people.
Well, they're talking about that. What I'm doing now, we're undergoing a little bit of a transformation from a digital aspect on with our WMS. And part of that is conducting training for the frontline guys. So this is below supervisor level. This is the actual operators. 80% of my operators are Urdu speakers.
Yeah.
So we translated what was a 7-page document, all in English, into a 2-page Urdu training manual.
Okay.
And we conducted that training, and the application and the receiving of that training was fantastic. The guys on the floor, the supervisors and the team leaders said, we've never done that before. It's always been in a classroom and it's always been in English. And they get some of it, but not everything. And that's made a massive difference. So yeah, you're right. I think conducting training programs, I think conducting any enhancement projects should be conducted in the majority language or multiple languages, whether it be Arabic, whether it be Filipino. It has to be conducted, at least translated into that.
Exactly. So I just wanted to share that with you because it resonated what you just said to a recent thinker. So now moving forward to our third topic, which is around the SOPs and the governance. So cold chain operations, they demand precision and discipline. Fine, you cannot operate without that. So what governance structures, and since you are going through a transformation within your organization as well, so it's very close to you. So what governance structures, SOP frameworks, and operation, and you mentioned the word rhythms as well. So operational rhythms are most critical to consistently protect product integrity and the service performance.
So if we're talking about governance, SOPs, operational rhythm, again, going back to cold chain resilience, it's all built on routine and not reaction. You need to have that precedent in place. So you've got to have clear governance. You've got to have defined roles and escalation paths and all that kind of thing. SOPs are mandatory. SOPs are not only mandatory, but they have to be incorporated in such a way that we just spoke about, Norman, in a manner that people understand, and that they are trained into the operation, and that they are regularly audited. Because what we train today may change tomorrow. We all know with upgrades, with WMS, with ERP, MRP, and that kind of thing, is that there's elements of retraining. So we need to ensure that is regularly updated. So, and those audited profiles and those trained practices have to be embedded within any digital tools that you, let's say WMS, for instance. And then what you have is a structured operational rhythm. You've got to have daily reviews on that, which focus on service. So your daily service, whether they be toolbox talks, whether they just be a general shift handover, but where we are on service. And then we got service, and then any temperature fluctuations and so on, obviously monitoring because of the safety and security aspect. And then from that, you look at your weekly sessions, which will focus on performance. That performance will be done at function level, whether it be receiving, whether it be handling, whether it be put away, picking, loading, and look at any potential root causes where we've had lapses in any of those practices. And from those root causes is look at the resolution for that, not just find the root cause and say, oh, we know what went wrong, is to find the root cause and then put a remedial action in place to ensure that we don't fall down that same gap again. And then from that is then have your monthly reviews that focus on any strategic improvement that we can make. What that does, it creates an element of predictability. And at the end of the day, predictability is what your customers pay for, because they need to be confident that what you're doing, they can rely on tomorrow, and they can forget about. They're paying for a service, they expect it to happen. So again, it's all about that operational rhythm. It's on about having regularly reviewed SOPs, and it's about embedding your WMS practices or whatever technology practices, whether it be yard management, TMS, is ensure that those are embedded within those SOPs and are regularly reviewed and audited for any changes or manipulation that may or may not happen within that technical bedding that you've got within an operation.
No, you are right. And a comment just came that predictability is a good term. And yes, predictability is a good term because that leads to reliability. So unless until you're predictable about good performance, not predictable about that you will fail, but that you will always deliver, that is where your customer they start trusting you, and you become a reliable and trustworthy partner to them. So predictability is very important, definitely.
Yes.
Having said that, and we have been talking about the training, the reviews, and everything performance. So, and interestingly, like this morning, I was at University of Business Technology here in Jeddah. I was giving a lecture on to the supply chain students, and the talk was around what to expect when they move from the academic into the corporate world. What are the shocks and how they should prepare? You know, that linkage between academia and the corporate world industry. And I was talking to them about the performance part, and I was showing them some levers and what you need to for different sections. So obviously, cold chain logistics come with its own unique levers as well. That yes, definitely OTIF on time in full is a very important one. But in your view, what are the most important operational levers that as a leader that needs to be reviewed and the organization needs to be consistent about them, while obviously maintaining the compliance requirement, the temperature control, and everything? The operational integrity needs to be stay intact.
If we look at OTIF and temperature compliance, having your consistent on time in full, whilst maintaining that level of temperature controls. Comes from controlling a small number of real critical operational levers, if you will. So if you look at your OTIF, if you get your slotting and your storage strategy embedded within your process and your WM procedure, then looking at reducing your dock to stock timings, That allows you to integrate your transport planning processes and your warehouse execution levels. You then got your preventative maintenance, which is a massive factor in cold chain, because without preventative maintenance of your refrigeration systems and your MHE, because your MHE is working in an export environment, so you need to make sure those are regularly maintained. And learn labor planning. So looking at your labor planning, which again is aligned against the activity rather than just headcount. So and any OTIF failures or any on time in full failures are really caused by one function. It's usually a collaboration of misaligned preventative maintenance where you've got downtime, one of your fridge doors doesn't work, you've got a buildup of ice, you've got downtime of your MHE, and any system failure across the board will have an impact on either your temperature compliance or your ability to fulfill your operational obligations that clients are looking for. And that will, because cold chain is all about end to end. It's about maintaining temperature integrity from the point of receipt to the point of delivery. And any failure, any compliance failure, whether it be material, whether it be people, or whether it be, cold chain, refrigeration technology or whatever it be, will have an impact on that. So having visibility on all that, having visibility on making sure that your processes are in place for your slotting and storage strategy will improve your picking strategy as well because of availability and obviously travel time for picking. Your dock to stock time will improve your stock availability. It will potentially reduce the level of inventory value for your clients because of the faster turnaround. So they're all levels or all levers that improve the operation, but more importantly, they allow you to be confident in the SLA you have on your OTIF to ensure that percentage is always in the 99+%, and that you have an operation that is compliant with all the temperature regulations and temperature monitoring and so on. Making sure you've got practices in place to monitor and manage any failures in any of those processes.
Okay, perfect. So definitely, now we talked about so many measures and everything, and then it brings me to my next question that with so many demands and your customers have all different behaviors, that they want different SLAs and everything. So, and this cannot happen now in today's age with so much of high speed response time which is needed and the complexity of operations. Technology is a reality that we cannot run away anymore from. Fine. So from that perspective, digital transformation has become a very key focus for all the 3PLs. Even if they have it now, they're improving it, they're jacking it up, they are making it more resilient, more powerful in everything. Who didn't have it, now they are reviewing it, they are investing into it, so that wave is happening now. And so from your experience, and you have gone through, what I understand and know, that you have gone through a lot of digital transformation for your organization in the yesterday years as well and now as well. So which technologies, typically create the most measurable impact, and what mistakes should organization avoid during its adoption?
This is really close to my heart because I'm currently going through a digital transformation project within ASCO at the minute, and the technologies that really create the greatest measurable impact is WMS. So once you've got that fully enabled into the operation, and then you've got real-time temperature and asset visibility, labor management tools, performance analytic dashboards, if you will. So you've got that enabled. The biggest mistake is trying to digitize an unstable process. Because if you have an unstable process, then you're just pasting over the cracks. What it should do, what any digital implementation should do, is enforce process discipline and make sure that it provides real-time visibility, because that is king. That is gold dust, to have that real-time visibility, not the day after, not 1 hour after. Having that real-time visibility is gold dust, because that allows you to make much faster decisions, whether that be for me, whether it be for my managers, my directors, my supervisors, my team leaders. Everybody's got the same visibility, and everybody can react and make better decisions so much quicker. And it should never be used to automate poor operational practices, because what you tend to find in any operation where you're going through a transformation program is people will always revert back to what they know best. And that is they like the manual operation, and they'll do a little bit of the RF, and they'll do a little bit of manual, and those are relatively poor practices. So embedding that mindset and having going back to the training tools to ensure that people are fully aware and fully understand the impact of their actions, will give them the right understanding and will give them the right empowerment that will give them the opportunity to see the impact of their actions. And then we can steer away from poor operational practices, because those are the biggest downfall. Those are basically the biggest mistakes I see, is that you've got dual practices when you're trying to implement digital practices, because people will always revert to what they are comfortable with. So ensure you keep on top of that, and that you maintain a similar standard practice across the board with every operator in every one of your facilities on every shift, because the one that will go wrong is at 2 a.m. in the morning when you're in bed. And you need to make sure that your team leaders and your supervisors are fully aligned on that, and that they follow up and they mentor and they train and they retrain and they follow up, and they, and their staff feel valued for the positive impact that they're making by giving you that real-time visibility. And those are the gaps I see when you're trying to implement any technology or anything new to the business, because I think it's a natural reaction to resist change, but you need to give people the opportunity. You need to give people a reason for how it will help them long term, how it will improve, and how it will reduce the level of workload that they're currently doing. So give them a reason to do it, and to continue doing it and practice it properly. Okay. So those are the gaps I see and the pitfalls.
Correct. And earlier you mentioned the word visibility, that now it has to be there and then. You cannot wait for the visibility to happen. I remember my first exposure to cold chain logistics was in my first supply chain job back in Pakistan. I was with Aventis Pharma. Now it is Sanofi. And it was our first cold chain shipment, which was coming in through an enviro container. So at that point, I got to know what is an enviro container. I had no clue before that. So got to learn about what it was. And the funny part, at that time, the WMS and these things were not as such there. So those shipments came with data loggers. So once the shipment came into a warehouse, the data logger was taken out, was plugged into the desktop. there were no laptops as well in our warehouse at that time. So those big CPU machines were there. We plugged it in. Exactly. And we checked, oh, there was no spike. The temperature was within the 2 ranges. Everything is good. Now, this was the easy part. Now the difficult part, because now the medicines, they had to be shipped out in ice boxes, because at that time there were no reefer, it was our first consignment. And I'm talking about somewhere around a good, this is back in 2003.
Wow, okay, wow.
2003, fine.
Yeah.
And then every ice box with the medicines, data loggers were put in, and they were sent out to all the different distribution centers and up to our pharma reps. Then they were asked to take the data logger out, email the data file back to us so that we can review everything is okay. Then we gave the okay, now you can sell it.
Yeah.
So imagine the visibility that we had, in which we had to wait 7 to 10 days till the shipment reached there, we get the file and everything. So we have come a long way. So one point was this, I wanted to share this interesting story of mine. The second part is, you mentioned people, process and everything. And this is also when we are talking about digital transformation, and when we are providing consultancy to our client for digital transformation. We always start with that before we talk about the product and initiate the implementation. Let's do the first 2 P's. So for me, I preach that there are 3 P's to digital transformation: people, process, and the product. So product is the technology itself. So first, make your people ready, make them embrace that this transformation is happening, do the change management for the people, embrace them, upskill them, everything. So you need to invest in your people. Then you need to ensure that your processes are up to date. They are not what we have been doing this for the last 20 years, so we will implement the same thing. No. Bring your processes to world-class standards, and this is where, engage professional people. Do not engage people within your company because they don't know what the world-class standards are, because they have not seen the outside world. And then you talk about the product then. So the people and the process is very important. If you don't do that, the product will fail by default.
Yeah, and part of that digital transformation journey, it goes back to when we discussed the SOPs and the process and governance and so on and so forth, is making sure that we track those SOPs and that those are regularly reviewed, and anything new that is trained into the operation, any process or operational change is updated. So we've got a document, we've got basically a training manual, which an ISO manual should be, that allows that continuation and commonality across all your operation.
Correct. So right. So I'll now move to my next question, and I will link it to the terminology of predictability. So when we are talking about predictability, right? So as our customer expectations, they are rising up and everything. So how does cold chain operators and leaders like yourself balance that predictability or standardization and compliance to processes with the need of the flexibility and high responsiveness that the customer is looking for? And especially when, as a 3PL operator, you are not just managing one type of product, you're managing multiple customers, multiple products, multiple demands, everything is multiple. It's a chaotic world of logistics for you. So how do you as a leader balance this part?
Again, as you say, Norman, in a multi-client 3PL environment, scalability comes from standardizing the core operational backbone. So while we have to configure customer-specific requirements, because each customer has got a different requirement, we try to balance that with a level of structure. That means we look at common receiving, put away, picking frameworks, which are system driven based on the customer requirements. Because your picking process, your put away process, whether you're managing FIFO, FIFO, batch management and so on and so forth, there's certain levels of discipline that you got to approach, which are client specific. So flexibility without standardization creates inefficiency. And standardization without flexibility loses customers. So the balance, you're looking at the balance between the two, is what enables service profitability at the end of the day. So one looks at the other. And as long as you're fully in mind of that, and you're fully aware that each client that you have has their own specific requirements as regards of how you handle their product, and you embed that into your process, 90% of the operation across the board is standard. You know, you're receiving, you're put away. Again, you've got some specific requirements, maybe at batch level. You've got quality whole products that need to be handled from an SFDA perspective. You've got some that you can handle and just flow through the business directly. You've got date management, you've got batch management, and then you've got your picking strategies. And your picking strategies, whether you're picking eaches, whether you're picking cases or pallets, is all client dependent. And if you've got an environment that allows you that level of flexibility, and again, that is done when you're setting the client up, when you receive it from a WM perspective, and your master data. Your master data is key as regards of how you handle that client and whatever processes that they require at each level of that the product throughput. Again, standardizing that process with what you currently have embedded, with one or two tweaks, allows you a level of flexibility where you can be diverse for each of those clients. And you can do that whilst maintaining profitability because of that level of standardization. People are doing the same thing almost every day, albeit for different clients, but with one or two. But that is, again, will be technology driven rather than waiting while Abdul Rahman comes in to understand what's happening on the next shift. It has to be that way. And by standardizing the process, it allows you that level of flexibility. And same with flexibility, allows you to be more comfortable with your client interactions and selling your services to a client as well.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So my next question, even though we touched it early on as well, but I would like to still go back and let's talk about operational excellence and the cold chain environment. So obviously costs and service levels, the OTIFs and everything, that is important. But apart from that, as a leader, to ensure or to reflect or to achieve true operational excellence, which performance indicators are the best that can reflect that within the cold chain environment?
Cost and service level are king.
Yeah.
And they will drive your operation. And any KPIs show whether your cold chain is under control, whether that's your temperature, any temperature deviations, your dock to stock time, inventory accuracy, any claims ratio, your dwell time, audit compliance, labor productivity and their activity. These indicating these measures that indicate those levels of stability, quality, and trust at the end of the day. They're the real drivers in any cold chain operation. So if you've got a tool that allows you real-time visibility on all those touch points, then you're holding a pot of gold. If we look at one of the winning factors for the company I work with is our technical ability to provide information instantly to our clients. We provide, aged product, close sell by date product, product movement, product turn, batch management control, and they love that, and that is for them it's gold dust, and they save an absolute fortune on product loss by being able to provide that. But what allows us to do that are having those measures in place, whether it be inventory accuracy, whether it claims dwell time, audit compliance, whether it be temperature control audit, whether it be quality control audit, or anything, and then our productivity ratios from a staff thing. So those measures allow us to reflect as an operation, and I'm proud to say that we are probably one of the best in the kingdom at that. It allows us to showcase our operational excellence. And that's, I won't call it a USP, but it's a fantastic selling point for us. And having those practices and processes in place and measured capabilities allows us to basically bare our chest to the client. We have nothing to hide. This is what we've got. This is how we do it, and this is how we measure it.
So true. And another example, last week I was sitting with the CEO of one of a good friend of mine. He's the CEO of a transportation company here based out of Jeddah. And an interesting thing, they recently went through a transformation and they implemented an end-to-end TMS for themselves. They really invested, they upskilled their people. He went through the whole work. So it's a second generation transport company. The father started it. Now the sons are running it. So he showed me a very interesting thing. He said, Numan, look at this. He took out his mobile and he opened up the app and he showed the dashboard and one KPI alone to me. And he said to me, Numan, look at this. This is the waiting period that my trucks are waiting on the customer premises for the goods to get offloaded. And he said, Numan, we knew that there were issues, but we never had were able to measure it to the level of at which customer, how many times the truck, or what is the totality of the quantum of it. And he gave me a very high level number, which basically opened up, it was a big number. He said in the last quarter of 2025, 11,000 hours were wasted of his trucks waiting for the goods to get offloaded on the customer premises. 11,000 hours. Now that is money down the drain, efficiency down the drain.
And you can't get that back.
Exactly. So what he then started doing, once he now had the 3 months data, he started communicating to his top customers, or the biggest culprits, I would say. And he started telling them, see, my friend, our SLA of you offloading is this and everything, and you are not following it, and you are causing me this much of losses. Either I start charging you for this time, or you improve your process in your warehouse for offloading the shipment. So now the customers are responding back because they cannot move away. He's one of amongst the best transporters over here. So and his clients date back to 20 years to some of the clients. So now he's saying, now what I see is that the waiting period is getting reduced now. So this means that his trucks can make more trips now and everything. So his operational efficiency is going up. So this is operational excellence at the end of the day. With visibility, sharing that visibility with your clients even.
Well, like talking about implementation of TMS, I did the same at Panda. Implemented TMS. We had a fleet of about 650 vehicles, and we delivered every day to 200 stores around the kingdom. And we implemented TMS. And bearing in mind, this is our internal controls, delivering from central warehouse to our stores. We had very similar dwell times, idle time at stores, where we were waiting to be offloaded by our own company, and it was costing us thousands of hours every week. So I just informed our stores that for every hour we waited, I would charge them for it. So we're surprised how quickly you can improve your delivery operation by implementing TMS. It's the same with parasitic miles or dwell time or break times or deviations on route. It's an amazing tool if it's used correctly.
Correct. And this basically then now brings me to the last question of this session. And I would like you as a thought leader, as an inspirational leader, and a veteran of the logistics and the supply chain industry. Right?
I've been called many things. It's a while since I've been called a veteran.
Okay. So, see, it's a good thing that we will be closing our session with a good laugh as well. So you have enjoyed it. So I'm happy about that. To bring smile to your face. So what to strengthen, what practical advice would you give to young leaders, upcoming leaders who are aiming to strengthen their operational excellence? So what is your advice? If you can share your, if you can bring your whole experience into a few sentences of advice.
Well, for what it's worth, you have to start with leadership capability at the frontline level. So at your supervisor and team leader level, you've got to ensure that you've got the right people in the right place, that have got the right understanding and the right knowledge. That will take a significant amount of pressure off the management level and will allow you to focus on what you should be doing. And implement a structured performance rhythm where everybody in the organization fully understands what is expected from them. If people know what's expected of them, they will do it. It's when you don't have clarity on that people will start deviating and do things that they think they should be doing, not what they should actually be doing. And have full operational cost visibility. So from a senior perspective, having that cost visibility within each operational model that you're managing.
Okay.
So you know what it's costing your receiving team. You know what it's costing your handling and put away team. And if you can do that, then your managers are able to manage that, and they can manage that cost base and help you improve that cost base as well. And using digital tools to enforce process discipline. So the tools that you have is they follow a process. You buy a WMS tool, which aren't cheap. They are expensive, but people buy them and they just use them as a badge. They don't use them as a practical tool. If you buy an expensive tool, you want to make sure that it's doing what you paid for, and then obviously you put those operational practices and processes in place, and you make sure that they are strictly followed. And design your operation for scalability from day one. Not for what you've got. If you are limiting your capabilities, if you're just looking after what you currently have, you need to think further than that. And the operation that you've got, the practices and processes that you put in place, can you expand that? Is it scalable? Can you expand on that? So I would say design any operation to ensure it's scalable.
Very great advice. I will just, again, because I enjoy something which resonates with me. You mentioned expensive tool. I was sitting with the IT head of one company, logistics company here in Jeddah, and they went for an expensive WMS. Fine. And I asked them, why did you select it? Fine. There was no need for your operations to go with such a big ticket item as a WMS. Why did you go for it? The answer was, because we will tell our customers that we have this WMS.
Yeah, it's a badge.
Yes, exactly, the badge part. The customer will never get impressed by what technology you're using. They will get impressed by your service level, your predictability, your responsiveness, and how you handle them. This is what they are looking for. They are looking for a solution to their logistic woes, not what WMS you are carrying, not at all. So I enjoyed this answer and I smiled and I said, okay, thank you, let's move on. So,
and the next part, or the last little bit,
yeah,
is the only piece I actually wrote down.
Okay.
Because I want to get this right.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this as I have wrote it. The most important, or most importantly, is do not sell resilience as a concept. Prove it through consistent, measurable performance. That is probably the most important thing within any 3PL, not just cold chain, within any 3PL. Because in the GCC today, customers expect performance to be demonstrated, not promised.
Yeah.
Anybody can sell a promise,
yeah.
but you can't sell performance unless you can demonstrate it.
Yeah. And I'll give you a very fresh example. I received an email today about we are demonstrating a solution. So the email came from the supply chain head of that company that, Nomad, fine, let's go and look at the demo, but I will give you 3 months of data and you need to demonstrate that how the tool is going to elevate our business.
Yeah.
This is their requirement. Demonstrate. Do not make promises. Show me. I will give you the data. So we said, okay, 110%, we will do that because we are not into making empty promises. We will demonstrate to you. But again, thank you, Tony. But before we conclude, I would like to take some of the questions. There are some very interesting questions. The first one is from one Mr. Fahad Tahir. He's asking you, with increasing energy costs and sustainability pressure, how should cold chain organization redesign processes today to remain resilient 5 to 10 years from now?
Energy costs and is a massive topic. Now, if you're looking between now and the next 5 or 10 years, you've got to be looking at potential renewable energy. Not only from a resilience perspective, but also from an environmental perspective. And I think the only way to do that is to look at your operation. You need to look at how your energy is used. In cold chain, it's expensive. So I would suggest I don't think processes, unless you've got very strict door operational practices in place to ensure that you don't get any temperature leakages or any cold leakages, or having very strict door operation models in place, there's very little operationally you can do to reduce your cost, because the cost is in your coal plant. But I think going forward, renewable energy is probably the way forward.
Yeah. No, 100%. And around early this month, I was driving down to Yambu, and I've heard about it, but I've never seen it. I saw those solar farms in Ravel that were being put, that were there, and now more extension is happening. More solar panels are being put up, and those are huge and massive solar farms, which are coming up in Ravel right now. And then there's also a Rabik Logistics Parks, which is coming up. The logistics zone is coming up over there. So I enjoyed on one end of the highway the solar park, and on this side of the highway a logistics park coming up. So great for the country. So next question is from my friend Matthew. He is based in Dubai. He's the founder and CEO of Logisci. Yes, ex-DHL guy. So he's asking you, Tony, please guide on the most important technology solutions reshaping cold chain supply chains in the GCC region.
Depending on the size of your operation, will determine on the technology that will help you best. With a sizable operation, if you've got warehousing and distribution as a service, then you need to look at WMS, definitely. Potential YMS, so you've got a good yard management solution, and TMS. And what you need is to ensure that your IT has got your IoT, so you've got both upstream and downstream visibility. And you've got one platform that you've got complete visibility on. And from that, you will have an amazing tool that, you know, you can sell to anybody, because that visibility is king.
Thank you. Next question I will take is this one from Fahad again. In your experience, where is the biggest vulnerability in the cold chain? Plant dispatch, cold storage, transport, or last mile retail freezers, and how should leaders prioritize investments?
I would say the biggest vulnerability in any cold chain are poor processes. I wouldn't say your plant dispatch, your cold storage, transportation, last mile retail, because each operation is managed differently. What is common across all operational facilities is discipline, practice, and process. And I would focus on those. If you've got very robust SOPs, practices, and processes, and you've got technology where you can manage and monitor those, then I think you'll have a fairly robust operation. And I don't think you can pick out one element of vulnerability unless you've got visibility of it and you can see where the gaps are. I think that is too broad of a brush to give a specific answer to.
Okay. Thank you. I'll just share one comment. It is an amazing webinar. Thank you, Bahadur, for enjoying this session. Then Fahad, as I earlier said, predictability is a good term he shared in the start. And, you know, it's always good, apart from question, to read on good comments as well. You know, it refreshes the blood in the system. I'm really enjoying Mr. Tony's discussion, especially visibility and people empowerment. My question is about change management. What practical mechanisms do you recommend to build resilience within teams so that performance doesn't decline during major process of structural transformation?
Communication. Very clear, precise communication is to ensure that everybody within the operation and your organization has exactly the same information. Is that there's no gray area, that everybody fully understands what's happening within the operation and the rationale and the benefits the changes will give to them. People, individuals have to understand what the benefits are for them, not for the business, what the benefit is for the individual. And you can only do that by having very, very clear and very concise communication. And that is across all levels. So everybody's getting exactly the same message. You don't have different messages for different operation models or for different operational areas. It's one common message. And that message explains the benefits that individuals are going to get out of any change.
Okay, thanks. Then we have a comment. Hello. Hi, Javed. Assalamu alaikum. Then we have one more interesting question for you. What's a practical approach to reduce product waste due to cold chain failure, especially in the markets where infrastructure isn't perfect? I know you will answer processes again, potentially, but still, over to you, Tony.
Again, is having very clear processes.
Yes.
And having visibility on what you've got within your operation. Wastage it can be massive in cold chain because of traceability and having that level of visibility. Whether you're old school and you're using Rolodex or whatever you're using to manage your operation, is to ensure that your operators, your supervisors, your team leaders and managers are suitably skilled to ensure that they follow those, whether you've got technology or not, that they follow those processes strictly. And that they do daily accurate inventory assessments as regards of where you are on your date management and your batch management to ensure that you get very little wastage, and that you've got the opportunity then from that information is to advise your clients of any potential losses that they're likely to expect over the coming weeks or months because of date code erosion.
Okay, perfect. We'll take a few more comments and one last question. So Najam is saying, thanks to both of us, very kind of you. And our friend Fahad is saying, and after this, we'll take the last question from Matthew. Coming from ice cream business where cold chain integrity is absolutely critical, truly appreciate the depth of perspectives shared. Thank you for hosting this insightful session. I'm very happy that you enjoyed, Fahad. The objective has been served. I'm glad about that. So the last question is from Matthew. It's an interesting one. Tony, any suggestions on how to change the mindset of the logisticians on digital adoption?
Explain to them the benefits that it will give them. Tell them how it will help them reduce their workload. Yeah. Explain to them how it will give them better visibility of what they're currently doing. Explain to them that we will have a better tool that will increase our ability to sell our services. And most importantly is how it will make their job so much easier.
Yeah, I will add a little bit on this, Tony, Matthew, every customer, everybody is looking at that. They look at it as it's an expense unless until they understand that it's an investment. So talk to them about the ROIs of it and how it will enhance their productivity and what benefit it will give to their end customers and how it will help them increase their business as well. Once these are also filled and you are able to convey this, the adoption becomes much simpler then. This is what I have experienced.
I mean, I looked at it from, if you look at Matthew's comments here, where how do you change the mindset of a logistician?
Yeah.
Rather than a corporate mindset as regards of ROI and cost reduction and so on and so forth. I think it's more about how do you convince the guy that it's worth doing and what's in it for me.
Okay, understood. Perfect. So I think let's close this. We are getting my okay. So Matthew is saying great insights. Thank you, Matthew. Then we have this, my sincere appreciation to Noman and Tony. Then I really enjoyed Tony's response. Ayuddin Payatullah. It reminded me of a great experience I had working with him on project development in the past. So he's someone from your past, Tony.
Where we I know, and you're doing well.
Okay, perfect. So, and last comment, and we close this after that. So, wishing you both continuous success in strengthening cold chain and resilience across the GCC. Then, Tony, correct, appreciated. So, this brings us to the closure. And what I would like to close this on before I give the mic back to Tony is, first of all, a big thank you and appreciation, a note of appreciation to Tony. It was a very insightful and grounded discussion. I enjoyed every bit of it. So on behalf of Supply Chain Talks, everybody in the background as well, we truly appreciate your time and the practical perspective that you have shared on building resilient cold chain organization with the people, process, and performance. And on the other hand, to everyone who joined us live today, thank you for your participation and the excellent questions. It was a learning experience for me as well. I hope you're leaving with clear takeaways you can apply, whether it is strengthening leadership behaviors, tightening governance and SOP rhythms, improving your OTIF, or changing the mindset of logisticians and making smarter choices in digital adoption. If you found this session valuable, please follow us SCT Supply Chain Talks on both LinkedIn and YouTube for upcoming webinars and executive sessions. We'll also be sharing this session recording shortly with everyone. Once again, a big thank you to Tony and thank you everyone. Have a great evening and stay safe and stay resilient. And what I understand so far, I'm just checking that, is it Ramadan yet or not? I think Ramadan has been announced. So tomorrow is 1st of Ramadan.
Ramadan Kareem, everybody.
Ramadan Kareem, everyone.
hope you have a blessed month. I want to thank Norman and the team for the invite. I didn't think it was going to last an hour, so I'm shocked that we managed to talk for an hour, Norman. But I really enjoyed that, and I think if any information shared today has helped just one person, it's been a valuable hour. So thank you very much for the invite, Norman.
My pleasure. Thank you. Take care. Thank you, Tony. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.